Okay, so the next question, and this one's kind of tough. What does puberty do to medication use? So I always get this question mostly in the context of ADHD, because one of the side effects of stimulants is that they ruin your appetite, and they make they just make your appetite disappear. You don't even think about eating; you're just doing whatever you're doing. And so a lot of parents are concerned that if their kiddo is on a stimulant medicine, what's going to happen, especially around puberty, because it's a time of growth. And the key is just to make sure that the child gets their total daily caloric intake in. So in other words, if they skip lunch, that's okay as long as they make it up somewhere else, either with a big breakfast or an afternoon snack or calories around dinner or a bedtime snack or, pick your poison, as long as they get their calories. And so puberty is weird. We don't, I can't think of a reason why it happens. I'm trying to think back to medical school because it's been a really long time. We know the end goal. So the end goal is to transition a being into into a being that can procreate, right? So it's like it is maturation of all the sexual characteristics, so that you can at some point join the egg to the sperm and create new life, right? So that's the end goal of puberty, but we don't really know why it evolved in quite that way. But puberty is very different for the different genders. So girls tend to go through puberty earlier than boys. And depending, especially in a society like America, I think there is some credence to what we're eating and our diet and our exercise as to when puberty happens and how that process works. And that's a whole other story, a whole other discussion for another day, which is a great discussion for as an aside, as plugging our closed social network, where we talk about all sorts of ideas, which is called Mint, MHINT. And if you go to hellomint.com, you can join. So with puberty in general, a kiddo's metabolism starts to go up. They start to grow. They start to exhibit different characteristics. So genetic things start to happen. So their faces change, their bodies change, the way they distribute their fat changes. All of those things start to happen. And so it's one of the reasons why I tell parents that if your kid is on a medicine before puberty, I have no idea what's going to happen once puberty happens. It's like this wall of, I don't know. In preparing parents before puberty, so if for some reason a kid is on a medicine, I give parents that disclaimer because their child may start to metabolize medicine faster or slower. They may not need the medicine at all. And so my goal is to make sure that we use the lowest effective dose for the shortest amount of time. And if I can get a kid off of medicine at any point in their life, that's ideal. But when it comes to puberty, it's way more common that I'm able to stop or change things, or I have to change things just depending on what's going on. And so puberty changes literally everything. And that's why in the world of psychiatry, that's why there's basically a subspecialty. So in the world of pediatrics, there's a subspecialty called adolescent medicine. And then in the world of psychiatry, there's a subspecialty called child and adolescent psychiatry, because teenagers are completely different creatures from kids, younger age kids, 12 and under. And the two of them are completely different than adults. And so being able to know all of those developmental milestones and what's expected and then the biochemistry of each age group is really, really important and sometimes very difficult. So that's why you hopefully seek out the experts like myself. I mean, it's hard for me to say that, but apparently I am. So welcome. So that's the capstone on puberty, is that what happens to medication use and how does it change in puberty? We don't know. Oftentimes we won't learn it until puberty happens, and then we adjust accordingly.